We don't rest until every job is filled. And that's sort of my motto at the office right now. I meet with our clients all the time. Yes, it's an ongoing problem, but we are doing everything we can to find people.
You just heard PK Zander with Mid-Cal Labor Solutions talking about unemployment in Kern County. Mid-Cal Labor serves the employment needs of the petroleum and construction industry in Kern County. PK also volunteers at the CBCC Foundation for Community Wellness, a 501c3 nonprofit organization. They're committed to providing patients and their families with the tools and information that help them through a cancer diagnosis. In today's show, we discussed the Kern County job market. Later in the show, we talked about opportunities for applicants. And stay tuned to hear the rapid fire answers from PK Zander.
Welcome back to the Our 2 Cents podcast, the show where your local professionals sit down with an array of guests to hear their story and impart some wisdom for both business and life-improving skills. This is your place to hear business and community leaders discuss relevant topics that matter to you.
And welcome to the show today. My name's Troy Burden. I'll be your host today of Our 2 Cents. Before we get started today's episode, very exciting friend of mine here to share some employment news and opportunities. I want to encourage our listeners to check out our new webpage. We put a lot of time into that. That's the way you communicate with us. You can see up and coming episodes and most importantly, past episodes as well. PK Zander. PK, we're happy to have you here today. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Troy.
Thank you. Before we get started in today's topic, I'm just going to start off. I know we have a lot to cover. PK, what's it going to take to get people back to work?
Oh, we got to shut off that government stimulus, that money that they've been handing out so freely for over a year now. You know, there's a whole bunch of misnomers out there. You know, I've seen articles in the paper about worker shortages. Let's be honest. People that make between $14 and $20 an hour, there's a reluctance on them to go back to work.
Sure.
I wouldn't ask myself this question because I'm not driven by doing nothing, but there's a lot of people that are. And if you can sit home and collect an equivalent paycheck than what you were making when you were employed, what's the motivation? And our government, I'm not afraid to say that, is making it all too easy for us to sit home.
Right. My take is this, and to springboard from where you're going. It was necessary to have unemployment benefits. There always has been, especially when we had a downturn and a shutdown, if you want to call it, of the whole economy. But our economy in Kern County, Central Valley, or California, in my opinion, has recovered, but has a lack of engagement from new employment because people are writing these benefits to the extent of the limit and not willing to go back, which is not the way I was raised and not the way you were raised, but that's what they're relying on, as you mentioned, sitting around drawing almost a full paycheck and maybe some cases even more. You know, I did a little research, PK. Standard unemployment's 26 weeks. Then the CARES Act happened and, another 13 weeks. And then we had to continue and added another 11. American Rescue Plan just popped up 29 more weeks. And here we are, 53 weeks of benefits. Now, we're not talking about other benefits as well. We're just talking about unemployment benefits. Because I know, like the child tax credit that everybody was getting, now that's just, they gave it to you early instead of at the return, but it just goes on. And as you know, I work in the workplace too, doing benefits. And I don't know an employer that I do business with that isn't looking for help today.
That's absolutely the truth, including us.
Yeah, so you are a provider of typical temporary services. And if employers can't draw people to come to work, in some cases, maybe a surplus or maybe could be a primary resource, but maybe even an overflow resource, are you having a tremendous difficult time recruiting people?
It's very difficult. I'd like to say that our recruiters are doing probably a better job than any of the other staffing companies in town. We don't rest until every job is filled. And that's sort of my motto at the office right now. I meet with our clients all the time. Yes, it's an ongoing problem, but we are doing everything we can to find people. And we're talking to our clients about offering a higher wage, about incentivizing them. I just want to correct one thing too. Yes, we are a temporary staffing company. That's sort of the trade name out there. But that's really not what we are. And I will tell you, I'll be honest, I would have never gone to a staffing company. I didn't understand what they did. But in most cases, we put people to work under a temp to perm scenario, right? So for 90 days, you work through a temporary company or a staffing company like ours, and then in hopes of getting hired on by a company. So really a temporary, people think, oh, I don't want to go there because it's a temporary job, which really not. Right. It's just we want to find out, or the client wants to find out what you're made of, right?
It's a probational strategy.
Probationary period, right? Or you are what you say. Everybody, not anybody, but a lot of people can get through an interview, right? But, after 30, 60, 90 days, that's when your personal life shows up at work, right? That's when we see what you're really made of. And so, we urge our clients to use us. There's also a lot of benefits, as you know, as far as workers' comp. We're taking the risk in those 90 days, right?
Right.
Are you as safe as you say you are, right? Do you meet the culture of our clients as far as safety is concerned? And that's a huge issue these days, especially with OSHA.
No, absolutely. Our firm, we hire through a temp service because if we don't care for their whatever, it doesn't matter what. You don't have to play all the discrimination rules and laws. You just call the provider and say, you know what, I didn't like Sally Smith. Could you send me another candidate tomorrow?
That's right. And we end their assignment and it's over with.
And PK, I can tell you from talking to employers, and unfortunately, this is something that they miss. It's really a strategic plan that I try to work with. You really need to know the cost to hire and to let somebody go. What is that true cost for an employer to put someone on and to see them not make it 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, even a year? Turnover cost employers tremendous amount of money, and a lot of them struggle on actually putting a number on that. And so, your wages are going to be a little higher because you got to get paid too. But I'm going to tell you, it makes so much sense to utilize those services today. And I see it throughout the industry. In Kern County, we have a lot of blue collar, a lot of ag, a lot of oil. It's obviously there. But again, we're clerical and we utilize those services. So it just makes sense all around. It makes the job so much easier because when you have to just put all your eggs in one basket and hope that candidate's going to stick, that's a difficult position.
It is difficult. It is difficult. And I wish everybody would understand that. And, sometimes employers have to go through, have a few bad eggs before they realize that maybe I should use a staffing service to help fill those positions. And we even do things sometimes on a direct hire basis, right, where you actually do bring somebody on right away.
Okay.
We have some guarantees in place where we'll replace them 30, 60, 90 days, up to 3 to 5 years. So there's still some caveats there that you can consider if you do want to bring somebody. Some of the higher level, more qualified people, they want to be brought onto the payroll right away. They want access to the benefits that the company is giving out. But I still say put the onus on the employee, not on the employer.
So when you say that, so I'm going to assume, and you're going to share it with me, that you have all skill sets, entry-level jobs to very technical jobs, maybe even jobs that require degrees, perhaps engineering and accounting and things like that. Is that true?
Absolutely. So we actually have 3 companies where we're at, and one of them is an admin light industrial company.
Yes.
One of them is a heavy industrial company, and then we have a technical company which just does high level placements. So really, there's a fit there depending upon what the need of the client is and what the skill set of the employee is.
So knowing there's a shortage, is your phone ringing off the hook? Are people saying, hey, I need 25 guys. Can you get it? I mean, what's the climate look like over there at the call center of your office?
We have more job orders than we've ever had.
Okay.
The board is full. And I'll be honest with you, if you walk into our office right now, the lobby is full of people. I don't know if they're just going through the scenario to appease the wife, appease unemployment, whatever that is. But I'm always amazed, especially recently, what people are willing to go through, what links, and then they don't even show up for the job. It happens all the time. And it's frustrating. The client gets frustrated. We try and prepare. I just don't like to BS people. I like to prepare the client, set the expectation, let them know what things look like right now and what we're dealing with out there. I've had to write several emails to owners of companies trying to explain to them what's really going on out there. And it's really hard to pinpoint it. I don't think we know exactly. But one thing's for certain, handing out money and making it easy for people not to go back to work is incentivizing people not to. And we need to change that. And it should have been done differently from the very beginning. I get it. But until there's a real change there, I think we're going to see a lot of this happening.
Well, and we continue to see extensions and new bills passed, which create more government programs, which is very difficult to navigate, creates not only a weak workforce, but a lot of legalities as well of how you deal with these and so on. It's an applicant's market for sure. I think of mine, had a conversation today to an oil field service account that I've had for years, great relationship. I was looking at some records that they hired 10 new hires, and I received 4 applications for insurance. So I called the owner and says, we didn't get a decline or an enrollment for the other 6. And she says, yeah, they all got other job offers before they ever showed up. That's the real deal today. They're getting 2 or 3 offers before they even show up to an offer that they've accepted. It's truly a job. It's an applicant's market.
I should have brought that up before, where that scenario is happening every single day. Even somebody that accepts the job and then doesn't show up, little did we know that they had 3 potential opportunities on the line, and they're going to take the highest one. And you know what? You can't blame them. They're playing everybody against each other. I think we're underpaying people on that low end, and we need to consider offering them a few dollars, especially skilled labor set at that low end, especially in oil field. I probably have a lot of the same clients you have, and it's frustrating at best.
Yeah, and minimum wage is high, if you want to call it that, and it's going to be it's here, it's the real deal, and it's going to be that nationwide at some point. You're just going to have to accept it. That is the real world that we live in today.
It is. We just need to make sure that we're marrying up. Minimum wage is minimum wage. But if you need somebody that's skilled and you're trying to bring them in at minimum wage, good luck. Not going to happen.
Good luck.
And that's where we find, we've asked a lot of our clients to do this. Going through this frustrating scenario is, hey, why don't you take a look at everybody in your industry, right? And see where you rank, right? In ag and in oil, some of the bigger players have found out that they're underpaying some of these people.
Sure.
So.
Back to a little bit of my profession. For the first time, I have large employers that basically have to provide insurance because they're over 50. And before they provided the minimum requirements just to pass the test and not get penalized. But now recruitment and retention is the big deal. Now I see people saying, we need to enhance our insurance. We need to add some benefits. And so this is a very interesting climate we're in right now. And really in 20 years, it's probably not the first time, but this is the biggest chance that I see. And, let's talk about opportunity. I speak to my kids, you're going to speak to yours at some point when he's out of school, but I tell my kids that we're in entry-level positions, find out what you really love and go get yourself a job, because the opportunity to move up the ladder is easier and probably more profound now than ever. The opportunities are there. It's a total reset of the workplace, in my opinion. Do you agree with that?
I totally agree with that. Yeah. My kid is a marine science major at Cal Poly. He changed majors. I struggled with that, but I've never seen him happier about learning. We talk about what jobs are out there, but I'll tell you, he's going to be so excited by when school's finished to go find a job in that industry. I believe he's going to move up the ladder quickly.
It doesn't sound like he'll get a job. Sounds like he'll get a career because he has passion.
Exactly.
Things that we always talk about. Now, you mentioned you go in your office, you see your lobby full. Let's talk about that. So do you do pre-employment screening? What are these people doing? Are they applicants? How's that work?
So typically the way it works is this, and we get a lot of people right off the street as well. But we post all our jobs on our website. Okay. We ask people to go on, fill out an application, click on the position of interest, put that in there. It gives a recruiter a notification. We bring you in. We do a basic interview. At that point in time, we usually let our client know what we got as far as a pool of people. If you're chosen for that position, depending upon if it requires a background check or anything like that, a job opportunity or a job offer has to be made before we do that. But we do pre-employment screening, we do drug testing, we do background checks, we do a DMV, we do the full line of everything. We do basic safety training. Our job as a temporary service is to do basic. Client's job is to do site-specific, but we put everybody through that. Whether you're going into an admin clerical position, and it fits the position, or you're going out to work in the field.
What's your biggest industry? Is it ag, oil? What is it?
Oil is still our biggest.
Ag uses a lot of farm labor contractors, a little different than probably your position, but I see a ton of farm labor contractors, but there's a lot of seasonal jobs that people may reach out to you and say, hey, I need 50 people for 2 months. We're picking a certain product and in 2 months we're done. Is that a common service that you provide?
Yeah, our biggest client right now is an ag company. Okay. And certainly we don't want to ever step on the toes of the FLCs. We don't do anything out in the field, but we do warehouse cold storage, forklift drivers, stackers, packers, loaders, all those types of positions that are inside the warehouse.
So you're not doing field work, you're doing facility work.
Exactly.
Makes sense. You said pre-employment screening, drug tests. You carry them on your workers' comp, so you're not just taking anybody that can fog a mirror. You're really qualifying these folks.
Absolutely. And it's not to say that we haven't made mistakes in the past, but more so than ever, we make sure that you're capable of doing that job. We're not just sending somebody out there that's going to have some kind of a safety issue when they get to the job site.
PK, is there a limit on how long one of your employees can work for an employer?
Absolutely not. We've got a lot of clients that continuously run their people through us. They may not, it might be a single owner that doesn't carry workers' comp. We always encourage them to, but they run them through us 24/7, 365.
And does your company offer any benefits to them at certain periods of time?
Well, we offer basic ACA health benefits. You have to.
Okay.
Some of our clients offer paid holidays, vacation, but it's built into the rate that we're working at with them. For the most part, no. But I will tell you that we do have some clients that, even pay a bonus at the end of the year.
Right.
So it's interesting.
Well, I just seen this week that there are some local ag companies that are recruiting for facility work in sheds, and they're giving $500 signing bonuses. And I've never seen that in ag at an entry level in production lines. Is this new to you as well?
It's new to me. My immediate question is, okay, what qualifies you for that, right? You have to make it to the 90-day mark, or else we'd all be lining up out there for a free $500 check, or not all of us, but there's plenty of people that would. So I'm not sure what the qualifier there is. And look, going back to that article in the paper a week or so ago that was titled "Worker Shortage Disrupts Kern Businesses."
Sure.
It's not a lack of workers. They're trying to incentivize people to get off the couch and go accept a position. So their caveat there of $500 is what that's trying to do right there. So
they're competing with the government stimulus programs.
They certainly are.
So I agree 100%. There's plenty of workers. And you know what? I'll just go off on a limb and talk. This is a Troy thing, so don't hold this against PK. I've been to some local restaurants, and they're shorthanded, and thank God they're open. And, it's so nice to get back out and to do some things safely. But the people are working so hard, so shorthanded. And, I see people that are still very rude. And it's like, my son was in the food business, and he says, "Dad, when I check people in and take them to their table, I says, expect about an hour and a half before you get your food. Are you okay with that? Because that's it. There's 3 of us running the show today." And thankfully for them, I insure some businesses that have fast food restaurants, and they still haven't opened the lobbies, if you will, the dining, because they don't have people to dump the trash and refill the sodas and wash tables and clean bathrooms. So it's drive-through only. And, not to get totally off on COVID, but it's interesting. We've learned so much about how we've adapted because of this. And some of them are even more profitable with those models than the full-blown model that we used to know. But the reality is, go back to what we talked about, plenty of workers. We're just sticking money in their pockets. They're not motivated. It's unfortunate, but your service is needed. Tell me, if I'm interested to go into work, PK, how do I reach out to you and find out what's my opportunity? Here's my skills. Let's talk to the applicant here.
First thing I do is log on to midcallabor.com or randemployment.com or midcaltechnical.com, one of our 3 companies. We've got a whole lot of positions listed on there. If you see something you like, click on that, fill out an application, follow up with a phone call. Guys,
Sure.
Don't think that magic is just going to happen because we get people that call all the time. "Oh, I filled out an application. No one called me." Look, part of the process, right, is putting in the effort, right? And we'll give you a phone call eventually, but give us a phone call. Ask to talk to one of the recruiters. We'll call you in. Once you've had that interview, follow up with a phone call. Don't expect magic just to happen. We're busy. And that's not to say, I don't want to say our people aren't doing our job by not calling back applicants. But my point is this. If you want to make the difference, sometimes first impression is all you got, right? When you don't have a lot of experience. So do what it takes, okay? Don't wear a t-shirt and shorts or a hat that might say something off color into our office. I'm blown away by what people wear to the office. And then I'll see somebody come in a suit.
Right.
It's going to be an oil-filled roustabout. And
Right.
I'll always walk straight up to them and say, you know what? Thank you for respecting yourself.
Absolutely.
But pretty simple process. Log on to one of our websites, fill out an application, follow it up with a phone call. Be prepared when you come in. If you don't have a resume, create one. There's a million different websites right now that can help you do that for free.
Right.
Our website can help you do that for free.
Right.
And if you can't even get there, come in. One of my recruiters will help you do one. We want to help you. You know, we're in the people helping business.
Sure.
Okay. We're just not there. Yes, we're there to make money. But I think every single recruiter that works for us is in the people helping business, and they see that's part of the process for them, right? That makes them tick, so to speak.
Services locations. How big of an area does Mid-Cal actually cover?
So we have an office here in Bakersfield. We have an office in Fresno.
Okay.
And we have a brand new office in the Inland Empire down in Ontario, Pomona Riverside area.
All right.
You know, we're mainly Central Valley, California, but we do some business over at the coast, the coastal corridor, a lot over there, and we just set up shop down in Southern California. So we're expanding.
It sounds like it.
Yeah.
I noticed it on your webpage, and I did not know that. And you know what? Your service is appreciated, and I love the things that you are sharing. You know what? A little energy, a little motivation, a little professionalism will get you a job in this marketplace for sure. There's plenty of jobs out there. You just got to get off the couch and show some motivation that you're eager to learn and willing to learn, and you'll be actively employed in no time.
I'll tell you, I take ownership of people when they come into our office. I see people, you know, I sort of sit in a fishbowl. If you've ever been into our office, we have a lot of glass walls in there.
Yeah.
And I watch people, and I watch how they interact. I watch how they carry themselves. I watch what they wear. And I'll go over there and pick somebody out that I think's putting in the real effort. And I'll talk to them. I'll bring them into my office. And when they go about their way, I'll go meet with a couple of the recruiters that they met with, and I'll say, let's work a little extra harder on getting this guy a job or getting that gal a job, because they're putting in just that much more effort than the others. And let's be honest, millennials these days, they want to go right to the top, right? You know what? Got to have an understanding that you got to put in the footwork before you can get there.
But the opportunity is better than ever. So if you need to get to the top, jump in now.
Exactly.
I can't agree more with you. Okay, PK. So now we're going to do having a little fun here. Some rapid fire questions. You said something about living life to the fullest. And I'm assuming that's maybe you, maybe applicants. What's that all about?
You know, I feel like I've always lived life to the fullest. But I'll tell you what, a year ago in March, when COVID hit, things were changing, business was in the tank, oil was in the tank. Somebody told me something. They said, focus on what you can control and let everything else go. I made a decision at that point that I was going to focus on life, on really living life. It's changed me. It's changed everything about me. It's not worth, I can sit here and get all upset about a whole lot of things that I have no control over. And it does nothing but hurts me. And I've made a decision that I wake up every day and I'm going to focus on what I can control, and that is living life to the fullest.
Yeah, that's great advice. Being in the business I am and knowing the news and the political climate that we're in, turn on the news and watch it for a couple hours and tell me that you don't have a little anxiety.
Oh, it'll take you right out. And I'll tell you what, a year ago in March, when all this new stuff was coming at us from every direction, I was watching it 24/7.
So was I.
I was listening to it. I was listening to what people who really had no idea what they were talking about.
Yep.
And it was feeding me just negatively all day long.
Can't agree more. There were times where I noticed that I had been working from home and I hadn't been outside in 3 days. And I had to like, you know what, I'm walking to the mailbox just to see another person mowing the lawn or, you know, whatever, just to know that there's still life, the wind's blowing, whatever, because it consumes you drastically.
Well, let me tell you, my whole, after somebody told me that, we started a steps contest at work.
Yep.
And we started walking around the block. I went from walking around the block to running 10 miles a day for about 6 months last year. Completely changed my life. But it was just a different whole outlook on everything.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, when you sit at home and you watch the news and that'll take you out quick. And so I try and carry that story with me into the workplace every single day, because I see people being taken out all the time.
And I will say this, we just talked about unemployment or opportunity for employment and people getting stimulus money sitting at home. And I'm going to tell you something. In the insurance business, I study these demographics and I read these articles. And depression is at all-time high. Suicide's at all-time high. Addiction's at all-time high. Abuse is at all-time high. And trust me, a lot of this is because we're in lockdown and people just haven't taken that first step. So, you know what? This is, again, back to this is the opportunity to get out. It's sad, but it's true. And, you know, we're not really talking about it a whole lot, but I'm going to tell you, they're out there. And it's, you know, we're talking about COVID infections and death rates and ICU rates. It's real. Don't get me wrong. But the mental health side and the abuse, and finally our kids are back to school. You know, not everybody has the household that I was born and raised in. I'm very blessed. And so they need to get out of that environment. And those people sitting on the couch drawing unemployment need to get out of that environment. And sometimes it's tough. It's it could be a very dark place. So I acknowledge that. And, you know, I love to be real, and there's nothing to be ashamed of if that's you. It's just I'm encouraging you to jump out, call Mid-Cal Labor, and let's get on the road here.
Let's do it.
This is the time. What's the best advice you've ever received? The advice you just gave me was probably some of the best. So can you top that? Or
well, you know what? One of those questions you asked me was, what quote do I live by?
Yeah.
And the great NC State basketball coach Jimmy V.
Yep.
In his 1993 ESPY speech. Famous 7 words: don't give up, don't ever give up. They're on the wall in my office. I use them in conversation every single day. I carry them with me everywhere I go. Don't give up.
Sure.
Don't ever give up. And
I'm throwing some loopers here that are very similar here. If you found out the world was ending in a year, how would you spend your time?
I can be selfish and say I'm just going to go out and go surfing, but surfing has become a real passion of mine. And I tell you what, I'm going to spend my life outside.
Yeah.
I'm going to spend my life with my family. I think good friends make the world go around, and focusing on those positives.
PK, at the end of the day, it's all about relationships.
It absolutely is.
It's not what you've done. It's who you loved and who loves you.
Yep, and I can think that you and I both are testaments to that, and it's probably gotten us where we are today.
Yep, and I consider you a great friend, and you're doing a great service, and I appreciate you. PK is the Director of Business Development for Mid-Cal Labor Solutions. PK, thanks so much for joining us today, and thank you for your service to the community.
You're welcome. Thank you.
This show has been brought to you by the Law Office of Kyle Jones, Troy Burden with the Lynn Company, CPA John Duffield, Scott Hansen, real estate lender, broker, and investor, and Eckroth, LLC, a sales and marketing agency. You've been listening to the Our 2 Cents podcast. Check out the show notes for links and more information about the show. Also visit our website at our2centspodcast.com or check us on Instagram at Our 2 Cents Podcast. If you enjoyed this podcast, please subscribe.